Hey Rasmus,
What's up, Chris?
not much, man. How are
Hey,
you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing good. How
Great.
about you?
Yeah, doing great, man.
Good to hear it. I just want to say quick thank you again for all the responses in the group.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad you're jumping in and it seems like you're in kind of creative mode of applying this stuff, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just honestly about the awareness stage. I think I'm just overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break it down into atomic level and just also I think of it as completely five different stages, but I think you said on the call that it's more like a spectrum.
Yeah, I
And
think that that's how it ends up playing out, especially because like digital just made it so much faster to get
mhm,
messages and ads out that at least my experience as both, a consumer and a marketer is there do seem to be kind of varying degrees of the stages or the states of awareness.
yeah,
Um, you're just depending on what you know, and I'm a researcher, so I tend to kind of have my eye on different solutions, and like if I'm in a solution aware state as a consumer, and so yeah, that's just how I think about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to break down some ads I found on Facebook just as for practice.
Yep.
And I came to the conclusion that a lot of the ads are sort of hybrid, if you know what I mean. Let's just
Yep.
take a static ad. It's got like a 50% discount banner, but the headline is kind of solution aware, so it's very hard to pinpoint exactly and categorize an ad into
Yeah.
one of the five buckets, like in today's
Yeah.
modern feed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'll kind of see that too. I'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see after we go through today with market sophistication because there's a lot of there's definitely similarities in how you think about messaging for both states of awareness and then uh, also what you need to do if you're in a really competitive market as well. So
Yeah,
there's and there are similar approaches, I guess, to the copy based on the awareness state and market sophistication. So you'll get a little more color on everything today.
all right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Hey Chris, I have a question.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
Um, hey, when you first start, I've been kind of dabbling with this stuff on and off for like 10 or 15 years. I owned uh, a direct mail company. My parents actually had it, and we were in a different industry. But when I got to actual direct response, and it was a little confusing. I was using some of it with other projects I was doing with other companies and some consulting over the last 10 or 15 years. But my question to you was, um, you mentioned that um, well, first, it first appeared to me that direct response was mostly for um, things like seminars and informational type of stuff. But then, as I heard Brian mention, Joe Polish used quite a bit of it um, for a service industry like carpet cleaning, and then there was
Mm.
Joe Sugarman who used it for sunglasses. And when you mentioned that there were essentially three industries that we were kind of, or three things: health, finance, and something else. Can you kind of help me understand? I'm in I'm
Yeah.
in a new field, a service field now, and I'm trying to incorporate some of these strategies. And while as I dig in, I'm starting to understand that you could probably use it for anything, but I'd like your expert opinion on that. Thank you.
Yeah. So that you're talking about back on the first call, because we're talking about mass desire
Yes.
and it can feel like um, well, what are there's so many desires that could be in the market. And so I was sharing that, and again, I think I said 90 or 95%. So there's definitely other desires that don't fall into those categories. But in general, I was saying that um, most of what I've seen, folks are people in the market, they're either wanting to move towards better health, better status, and status includes wealth, and I forget some of the other examples I gave, and then better relationships, improving their relationships. But I mean, there's certainly others. Those are just kind of the traditional big three in
Yeah. So
in direct
if I
response.
can if I can stay with that for just a second, I don't mean to hog all the time, but
Sure.
I'm trying to get a real grasp of this. So let's use a market that's kind of similar, like cleaning a house, right?
Yeah.
And so a mass desire might be to a mom that wants to have a healthy environment for their kids to grow up in. So there's no
Yeah.
bacteria, no germs, or something like that. Or there could be something related to image, having the image
Yeah.
of a clean house, or and how that makes the person feel
Yeah.
as a mom. Maybe a working adult that doesn't have time to clean their house, but still wants that image of a good mom. So is
Yes.
that kind of what you're leaning toward? So we're really digging much deeper into the person and less about the product, and that's where the feature
Yeah. Yeah, let
benefits
me
come in.
chime in
Yeah.
here. Thanks, Chris. I'm
Yep.
here, so
Hey,
I'm
Brian.
interested in this conversation.
Yeah.
Also, excuse my slurring. I just got back from the dentist, so I'm like totally like Novocained out. But I'm actually my brain is actually better, I think, because well, it can't be better, so that's okay. Um, so direct response marketing is not an industry. It's not, you can never narrow it down to any one thing. In fact, when one of the promotions that we did in advance of this boot camp, I think I wrote down, whether you're B2B, B2C, digital, offline, brick and mortar, and that was the Joe Polish example with carpet cleaners. But direct response marketing is conceptual in that respect. As
Right.
far as the three categories go, those are if you take um, money and finance, health, and personal development, that's going to cover most things.
I see.
Personal develop. I mean, the thing is though, if you're promoting to carpet cleaners, um, that could be technically all three.
Right. I hear you. Yeah.
Because the health, the dust in the house. I mean, I've seen a lot of carpet cleaners use health as a major desire. I thought of that when you said about, housekeeping. But
Yeah.
then money, I mean, making money is like, is universal. So I think you're getting caught up a little bit in like maybe a lot of things that you've read over the years because Dan Kennedy's out there with info
Yeah.
marketing and you say, well, that's direct response marketing, but then this other thing isn't. um, to me there's nothing else but direct response marketing, and that's me
Yeah.
personally saying that
Yeah.
because in fact Joe Polish had a blog post once, and the title of it was branding is bullshit. And I don't think branding is bullshit, but you can't create a Nike swoosh in a heartbeat. So
Right.
it happens over time. How does it happen? Well, I'm not talking about big brands now. We're definitely focusing in on the entrepreneurial market with what we're doing in the boot camp and Titans Accelerator.
Yeah.
It does apply to corporate and larger businesses as well, but they seem less concerned with it because they have money to burn generally. Whereas in direct response marketing, which means everything has to be measurable, these are the key concepts. It's
Yeah.
measurable, accountable advertising. And
Yeah.
anything can be measurable and accountable. And for me, if it's not measurable and accountable, count me out. I'm
No,
out.
I hear you.
But that doesn't mean everybody should be out. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do straight branding and be successful at that. I just don't want to throw good money after bad in an entrepreneurial environment when you can always niche down, like what Chris talked about with his dog's knees. I mean, going deeper and deeper and deeper, going narrow so you can go wide eventually. To me, that's what direct response marketing is all about. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, if I can comment just real quick because you guys have just really cleared it up for me, and I kind of cleared it up myself by listening and talking to you guys. But the money, the health, the self-development, that's I was thinking more along markets instead of or products instead of what's going on in someone's head. And because those three things are probably going on in everybody's head all the time. They're thinking about their health, they're thinking about their financial situation and maybe things that they want to do. And those all relate to every product that we buy for the
right,
most
but then you have to go deeper on each one. So it's like I'm worried about
part.
my dog's health, but what about your dog's health? Well, it's his knees,
Yeah.
and that's where you get to the to the marketing messages and message to list that that's where the rubber hits the road for me anyway.
Right. Yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much. And you answered my question for sure.
Okay. Well,
Thanks,
I didn't
Jeff.
mean to answer your question, but the fact that I did is a bonus. I just wanted to pontificate on direct response marketing as a way of life.
And I agree with you. You know, I used this 12 years ago in a trash company, and I was, you know, just using the basic rules of direct response, list, offer, um, action, call to
Create
action. And
great
I
message.
was able to out of a nickel flyer insert get 33% response. And it was fantastic for the company. So it was pretty cool.
I'll give you one that was you wouldn't think was about direct response marketing, but we have a guy in Titans Accelerator who talking about garbage and waste,
Yeah.
and he's not garbage and he's not waste. He wanted to be a waste management guru.
Yeah.
So he wants to be a guru to like waste management companies across the globe.
Oh,
He's already
yeah.
writing articles in trade magazines for waste management, and we applied all of these principles to what he
Yeah.
wanted to do. In fact, we started with a dinner that he did for waste management executives at a waste management conference, and we incorporated all of the direct response principles we've been talking about in this boot camp and that we talk about all the time during Titans Accelerator. And it was, he's on his way to becoming a waste management guru. And it's
Okay.
all direct response marketing. That's not a product. It's not really a service. It's basically finding an audience that, is receptive to who he is and what he wants to share with the world. And, he's on his way. And we applied all of these principles.
Very cool.
Anybody have anything else they want to bring up or anything from the exercises? We got a few minutes before we dive in, or we can just dive in too. That's fine.
We got a great call
May I
today.
just ask a question? Sorry, I don't know where the hand up thing is. I thought I would
Hey,
Sure.
Nina.
go old school and raise my hand. And so,
Yeah.
what do you do when you have a service and you have to have your giver and your receiver are equally important to you to speak to? Do you try to have messaging that appeals to both at the same time, which you're finding a little bit impossible to do, or do you just have to pick the one that's going to take the bait on the service, knowing the other one will follow
I'm not
naturally?
clear. What do you mean by a giver and a receiver?
So if you have a service, right, you have to have someone who gives the
Why
service.
why don't you give us the example? Be more specific.
Okay. So I have an app, right? And in order to get more downloads, we have to have somebody who wants that service and wants to be the user of that service. We also know that what makes the company run well is the person on the receiving end. That's a big audience for us. And so I'm trying to figure out, do we try to talk to both at the same time? I'm thinking no. And so where we tend to be going is just with the receiver. the wanter of this service?
I think you answered your question. Clearly,
Okay.
those are two different markets within the same general marketplace. I think it needs different messaging to both, but that doesn't mean that um, choosing one is a good idea, but you might choose the one that's not as profitable as the other one. So you want to, and the fact that you know that there's two and there's not 12,
Right.
anybody who's entrepreneurial on this call, which I assume most people are, you know, you know, what things are you chasing today? You know, we're all chasing the new bright object, right? So if you only have two, that makes it a lot easier. So you can focus in on two, so you're not
Mhm.
focusing in on 12. So I think there's good news here for you in terms of, you know, you're going after two markets. Um, when it's funny when Perry Marshall, I think I mentioned Maze 2.0. Did I mention that earlier in a call? I mentioned in Titans Accelerator.
Yeah, I don't know that you did.
So Perry Marshall has a construct called Maze 2.0. And what it is like you take two axes, and one axis is on I rejiggered it for my own use, but it's all Perry's. But it's digital and um and wait, digital and offline and online and live and recorded. Those are the two axes. And now you have four boxes, right? So what would be live and digital? That would be a live webinar.
Mhm.
What would be offline and recorded? That would be a book. And you can put any medium in any one of those four quadrants. This is not directly on breakthrough advertising, but I think it's an important concept which I want to share with everybody because it meant a lot to me when I learned it. Um, and I'll go back to Nina's question based on it. So basically, you can plot any medium, Facebook, book marketing, Amazon, webinars, Instagram Reels, YouTube. You can plot anything you want in those four quadrants, right? You can put any, and you plot them. That doesn't mean you have to do them all, and you shouldn't do them all.
Right.
But then when you start narrowing down, Perry's advice based on, once he delivers this presentation on Maze 2.0, he says you want to be at least in one thing in each quadrant because then it'll feel like you're everywhere, or at least you'll feel like you're diversifying, you're in different markets, you're in different media, offline, online, live, and recorded. And he said, be in one in each, but don't try to be in four of each because then you're going to
Right.
drive
Right.
yourself crazy. You're going to throw good money after bad. You won't be focused. Nobody here knows about lack of focus, right? I'm looking at a bunch of entrepreneurs, and I know a lot of you are. So I know that when I say lack of focus, you say, "Yeah, that's me. It's me too." And
Mhm.
so this is a construct that's really, really useful for people to kind of get their media choices under control, so that they're not trying to be everywhere by being everywhere, and then you're nowhere, obviously.
Right.
So I kind of expanded it a little bit. If you have a little bit of a budget of sorts,
Mhm.
being in two in each quadrant isn't too bad. Um, but you got to start somewhere. So going back to you, Nina, it's two distinct markets. I think that you're still selling, I guess, the same app to both.
Yes. Yes.
But so then again, this goes back to with leads and headlines to the market and the pain points and all of that, and your
Hmm.
body copy in your ad or the body copy in your webinar or the body copy in your YouTube video
All
be
right.
the same for both, theoretically. Maybe not. You're going to make some tweaks probably, but the
Yes.
leads and the headlines should absolutely, and that doesn't cost you anything. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like it's a good question to ask, Nina, but it's also one that has an obvious answer. Why not test two different headlines and leads to two different markets and see where it goes? Because to try to do one size fits all when you have and you've identified the two distinct markets, which is
Yes,
you're
we
way
have.
ahead of the game. You're way ahead of the game.
Yes, we
I
are.
hope that was
Okay.
helpful in some
Thank
way.
you. That was very helpful. I appreciate it. Vote of confidence. Ooh.
Yes. Always a vote of confidence for you.
Thanks, Tina. Hey, Tina.
Hey, Tina.
Hi. I have a question, and it's probably rhetorical at this point, and I don't have it fully formulated in my mind. I was listening to a podcast today when I was going to and coming back from the gym, so I'm still up in the air about it. But what made me stop and really listen to it, it was with Amy Porterfield, and she's changing up her entire newsletter format and email stuff and blah blah blah. And I listened to it. It was pretty good. It was really good. Of course, I like her because
She's
she's
really
originally
good.
from Connecticut, so
Yeah,
she's got that going for her.
Yep.
But aside from that, one of the questions that her guest, Jen Kutcher, they were having this conversation about Pinterest, and Jen had said one of the things to ask about your avatar is this still true? Is this still true for my avatar? Is this the same person, or has this person evolved in similar or the same ways that I, as a business marketing person, has evolved? So I was wondering, and again, I'm not really sure what my questions are, but I was wondering, will we be talking about that with AI during the course of this workshop series? Does that make sense?
You mean talking about
Like
questions?
how our avatars or our AI information, how will we just say, is this still true to our not just our avatars, but our way of doing business, etc., through AI? Will we get the better answers, or does it deal with data primarily?
I think we're not bringing up that specific question. I mean, you're bringing it up now, so it's now part of the boot camp, which is cool.
This is really good. Yeah.
But I think that that question and others, is this true for the avatar? Is this still a problem
Right.
that they're facing? That to me that sort of falls under the broad category of when you're doing your research,
Okay.
of kind of pressure testing the ideas that you have about what you think is a pain point in the market. And so I do think that AI can help. So if you go back to doing the research prompt that I gave, and,
Yeah.
and you get the output back, you can look through that information, and you can ask questions like, is this true for a majority of this market? Is there anything else that they're struggling with that maybe you didn't include? So you can really treat it like like you've got a research assistant.
Yeah, no, it's
Right.
actually a killer prompt. I mean, it really is. I mean, I love it.
Mhm.
Is this still true? Now, and it's not just AI. You want to use it using
Right.
AI, but you want to it Chris is right on the money there. It's like it's you're always on an inquiry. Always. Your market can change in a heartbeat. Not really, but if you've researched it extensively and you get to the core desire, it's there and it's not going away immediately once you find it. But to constantly, be on an inquiry, why wouldn't you be? Like, and that's why I think when you said it was rhetorical, I got what you were saying because it's so important to always. Marty Edelstein, who was my mentor, used to always say he had this phrase. It was always like, check your premise. Like anything I said that sounded kind of off, or I was kind of like, "Oh, Marty, I have a really good idea. What do you think?" He goes, "Brian, check your premise." And he would always put me in my place with that. and I'm not trying to put you in your place, Tina, because
That's okay.
this is a
I
really
put
good
myself
inquiry.
in
No,
my
it's a
place.
good inquiry. But you always want to recheck and recheck your premise. And
Uh-huh.
AI is like an easy way to do it. Now, AI might not always be completely accurate. You go into ChatGPT and you say, I've identified this as true for my market. Is it still true? And even if it is true, tell me when it might not be true, or tell me when you think it's going to change, and then
Huh.
you'll get other ideas, and that just adds to the research. I mean, anything you can add to the pot of
Yeah.
your research. Now, you don't want to do, paralysis by analysis. When you're on
Right.
it, when you're focusing on a core desire, you're writing to it, you're doing headlines, you're doing sales letters, you're doing whatever to it. You don't want to just always put the brakes on it. That's not what I'm saying. But you always want to always think about what else. And that's why the exercise of, what they will tell you, what they won't tell you, what they can tell you. I
Right.
think that, Gene didn't invent that. I didn't invent that. I think it came from Michael Fishman, my buddy. Or I don't know where he got it from, but it's such a great construct because you're never going to get to what they can't tell you, or because, and if you ever get to it, it's nirvana. And then you might be at the ultimate core desire. But even then, you could say, is this still true? So
Yeah.
it's a good idea I like it. I like it a lot.
So what I'm seeing, and I'm not a marketer per se, even though when
We're all marketers on this call.
even a baby is a salesperson.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
get it. I get
Yeah.
it.
We're all,
I mean, I forgot what I was going to
oh,
say.
sorry. Sorry. I
Um,
couldn't resist.
okay, so this is what I've been seeing in the marketplace online. I've been seeing um, the same thing. It's freaking boring. I'm seeing everybody doing the same exact
Yeah, a
thing
lot of copycat.
on
Yep.
LinkedIn. They reach out not because they want to say hi to me because I'm this great person who knows everything they need to know. It's because they want to sell me something. And
Absolutely.
I turn off so completely because there's no there's no heart in it. And I'm a memoir writing coach, so I'm all about heart,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I can get right down into the itty bitty places in the heart too. So that's why I really like what I do. But so I'm seeing this, and what Amy Porterfield and Jen Kutcher were talking about were those changes, the changes in the way people are doing business. I think it's like we're over online. We're over it all. We're over
Yeah, I think
disconnected. I
be a
want
little
to
careful
connect
with
with
that.
them. I'm
But don't
sorry.
don't 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 paint this broad brush and say everybody online is
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
yeah.
But it's noticeable. I got it. And
Yeah.
especially on
Okay.
LinkedIn. In fact, Ted Promodu, who has a LinkedIn course, he's a member of Titans Accelerator, and John Keel, who does LinkedIn training. They start the training with, if you're someone who's sending out LinkedIn requests to sell people on an initial, like, making an ask from nowhere of
Mhm.
somebody, this course is either for you or not for you. It's not for you if you think that's a good way to do it. It's for you if you want to change your ways. And so it's really important to, it's everything's not a revenue event. Everything's a relationship event. I can't
Right.
say that enough. And so, um, you want to create the relationship first, and most savvy marketers, and it's also a differentiator from anybody who's not doing that. And while you're differentiating through through creating relationships, you can do it at your own speed, with your own words. With You can use ChatGPT, but you can also expand on it. But to do anyhow marketing and anyhow emails, not only boring, but ultimately that's not the way you build a business.
Right. I've
You can make some money doing it for sure.
yeah, I get bored really easily. So
Well, the memoir thing, we've had like three people speak at Titans Accelerator on that topic. I don't know if you know Anna David and Ali Fallon. really wonderful people. I think you'd love to hear from them at some point.
Well, my segue into the next question, which was actually a statement. I want to be that waste management guy, but for memoir. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm going to join your group. So
Thank you. I think it'll be helpful. You can do a hot seat. You'll be able to, and we already did a little pop-up hot
yeah,
seat for you here.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a noble goal on your part.
It's really interesting because people tell me things I don't even want to know about,
Yeah.
so
The
that,
accelerators on the call already are welcoming you to the group, even though
well,
you're not
yay.
in it.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. That was really good. I really appreciate it. I thought I love this. I mean, this is just like, this is all about marketing isn't everything. It's the only thing.
It's actually about our conversation in Nashville when I went up to you and was really like in awe, and you said, "Don't be in awe,"
Don't,
And
yeah. Being in
so,
awe of me is a bad move on your part.
well, anyway, I'm very happy
I'm
that.
I'm in awe of you, Tina. Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, Tina. All right, I'm ready to dive in to this presentation. You ready, Brian?
Yep, let's go.
Great. Um, so I'm not gonna have my slides full screen because I have a few videos to show today, and it'll just be easier um, to keep them like this right here. So, what the sort of the flow of today, talking about market sophistication, I always go back to this slide, and we're at the last piece of the puzzle, as it were. So we started, the process of building the copy assembly line. What's the mass desire that creates the market? How do we then channel that desire towards our solution? And then we start asking the question of how much does my market know about their desires or their problems or other solutions or my product? Those are the states of awareness. And then and again, this is all framed inside of part one of breakthrough advertising. So it's really focused on capturing attention. And this last part is we have to consider, kind of like what Tina was saying. So, what other marketing messages are they hearing? Are they getting, tons of people cold DMing them on LinkedIn with like the same sort of template over and over again? Are they tired of, and it's not working? Are they tired of hearing a specific type of message? How do you come in with, in a same category and introduce something new, but say it in a different way so that has this, it creates this reaction in your target market of, either, oh, this product works differently, either through a unique mechanism, or this is a whole new category of products in a certain niche. I've got some examples of both of those that we'll go through today. But that is, thinking about the competitive landscape, that is market sophistication, and this is chapter 3 of breakthrough advertising. And so the sophistication stage of your market determines how hard your copy and creative has to work and what it needs to say. And what Gene says is he lays out 5 stages. And so we're going to go through each stage. I'm going to show you a couple ads that I think fit with each stage. And then we're going to watch, and I'll set this up once we get there, but we're going to watch this clip of a presentation that Paris Lampropoulos gave inside Titans Accelerator. Before we ever had the boot camp, we had the Breakthrough Advertising Study Group. I'll talk more about that once we get there. But I want to run through the 5 stages and show you some examples of ads that I think fall into these categories. So stage 1, this is where you have the good fortune of being able to introduce a new product. So there's no sophistication about your product at all because the market hasn't seen a product like yours before. So your story is brand new, and what we're just trying to do is to get folks interested. And like he does often in the book, he gives us just some tips and techniques for framing how do we approach this market, so or a market in stage one. So his advice is, you want to be simple. You're not trying to be super fancy, because you've got a brand new story to tell, a new product that's in sort of its own category, and you're just stating the need or the claim in your headline, and then you're dramatizing that claim in your copy, just to make it as powerful as possible, and then you're introducing the product and you're proving, again, through the performance of the product that it works. And so he goes he goes into a lot of detail on page 39, breaking down an ad, and I believe this is one that he wrote, called "Now Lose Ugly Fat." And back many decades ago, weight loss supplements, you can imagine how amazing that would have been, like to be one of the first to put out a weight loss product in the market. It's such a huge pain point. And so, if you've got a big promise of, hey, either, do these exercises, follow this protocol, take this pill, whatever it is, like if you're the first person saying that, you're going to have a line out the door, and your copy, your creator doesn't have to say much more, than just stating what that desire is and then showing that it can be done. So, a couple examples here of ads that have come across my feed. This one here, this was interesting. You can tell, I'm a dog owner, so folks are targeting me. But I'd been researching because, my dog was limping, and I was looking at, this is before Hank got injured, but I was looking at things that I could put on our stairs, these stair treads, to make it easier for him to grip, because he was starting to slip and things like that. Well, then I saw this product here, and these are little toenail grippers, and I'd never seen a product like this before. So basically, instead of just focusing on stairs, these little rubber grippers fit on the toenails of dogs. And there are videos that go along with this ad. I don't have one to show you, but it basically, any wood floor, because dogs also slip on wood floors, but it's like giving them almost like a pair of shoes, but it's very, very minimal. And so I thought that this was a really good example of what I see as a brand new product to the market. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before there are cheap knockoffs of this, and there may be and there may already be some, but this is Dr. Busby's toe grips for dogs, to help make them more stable, and it's targeting people. If your dog's dealing with this, it's probably due to some kind of arthritis as well. So they're mentioning arthritis. They're in the ad, and then in the videos, what you see is are dogs that are walking without these, and they're kind of slipping on the floor. And then after, you see the transformation of they're walking around no longer slipping, and they don't seem to bother the dog. That would be a question that I would have, is like, is my dog just going to like chew on them? So I haven't bought these or anything. I don't know that I will, but I thought this was a really neat example of a product that I hadn't seen before. So I didn't really have anything to compare it to. I guess technically I could compare it to stair treads, but those only work on the stairs. I'm not going to put those all over my house on my wood floor. The other thing I want to show you is, and I've got a video that'll set this up, but this is going to be an ad for a little clip-on device. This is in sort of the health wearable space, and it's super, super sub-niched. You could probably make an argument that this isn't maybe true stage one. You guys can be the judge when you see the ad, but I put it in stage one because the specific way this product works is it's you can wear any watch. So if you're a watch person, like maybe you don't want to give up your nice Rolex or whatever it may be, you've got this nice collection for an Apple Watch. but you think, man, it'd be nice if I could track my health stuff. So this is like a little clip-on that goes on the back of the watch. And let me show this ad to you. And I couldn't find the ad with the copy, but this is the video that I saw.
Our devices are always present, simplifying, notifying, and tracking. But why should they dictate our identity? Our fashion is personal. It speaks about us. Our image, beauty, elegance, and tradition. Gnance brings together the best of both worlds, allowing you to honor your identity. Your watch tells more than just time. It tells your story. A mark of achievement, a memento of someone special. A bold statement that says, this is my legacy. Get the health tracking features to keep you on top of your game, and familiar smartwatch functionality to keep you in control. Embrace innovation, but stay true to your roots. Define yourself, not by the devices you wear, but by the choices you make.
There's a lot of identification in that ad as well. Of, your watch it tells the story of the achievements that you've had. You don't have to give up who you are and who like how you want to show the world who you are by having another tech company, dictate what your sense of fashion has to be. And so there's definitely a lot of identification going on in that ad. But the device itself is brand new. And so I was going out, and right now this company looks to be sort of in a category of one. But again, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before a competitor shows up. But stage one is just you've got something brand new that the market hasn't seen. Your story is still new, and so you're just going out and showing it in action, showing how it addresses the desires inside the market. And as you might imagine, stage two is you're still early, but you're starting to get some competition. And so maybe you're second or third to the market, so the market, there's still plenty of opportunity for you, but the way that you, the way that you capture attention is you take the claims that were working in stage one and you make those claims bigger, and you enlarge the claims, you enlarge the need for your product. And then if you're spending money on ads, then this is a game of outbidding your competition so that your larger claims are staying in front of more people compared to your competitors. So this is an ad. I would say this is not in a stage two market, but this is a stage two message. And this is an older ad. So, many years ago, keto was like the new thing in weight loss. So, everybody was getting on the keto diet. And this is an ad that came out a while back that was saying, hey, there's a new keto. There's a what's the phrase here? Keto 2.0 plan. So keto was in the market. People were doing keto, and then somebody says, hey, there's actually more to it than keto 1.0. And so this ad is definitely a stage two message and a stage two type language. Even though I think this industry is moved on because keto and now you've got paleo and carnivore is the kind of new big one that people are doing. But this is definitely stage two messaging. And then here's another one. This is a product called Slipstream. And if you're somebody that does training, swimming laps in the pool, your basic options are, you go to your gym pool where you can swim laps, or you got your own pool, and then you started seeing these huge like rectangular they almost look like really large hot tubs that go out in your backyard, and they've got these jets, and so you're kind of like swimming in place. and they're really expensive to get. And so if you got money and you don't want to go to the gym and swim in the pool there, like you can get one of these swimming pod things. But then this came up, and this is basically turns any pool into a pool that you can swim laps in place. So the way this works is you just slip this thing down in any pool, and there are jets on the bottom, and you set sort of the resistance level, and then it just sucks up the water and creates this jet stream that you then swim in, and you can get your laps in without ever moving, and all you need is just a small space of water to do that. And so there's definitely some mechanism here, which that's more stage 3, but I think for most people who are, I used to do triathlon training. I'm not training for that anymore, but I was kind of looking at swimming in the triathlon is one of the hardest for a lot of people, and so I had been looking at those backyard swim training things, and it was just, I didn't want to spend that much money, and I was like, this is probably not for me, so I'll just keep going to the gym to do my training. But this came up a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that's a super cool product. So you're just enlarging the claims. You're taking the claims to the limit. You're showing, where this solves the problem. So all you need is water, and you can get your laps in, and you don't need a whole lot of space to do that. So that's stage 1 and stage 2. When you get into a market that's stage 3, this is where you do have to start introducing more of your story about how your product or how your solution solves, like how it works, I guess. And that's the unique mechanism. So it's no longer enough to just make a claim and enlarge the claim. Gene says you can't exclaim your competitors. You need a new mechanism. And so the emphasis shifts from what your product does, and you talk more about how the product works, and that's what sets it apart from other products that they've seen. So one example that I really like is this product for Miracle bed sheets, and you can see the headline across the bottom. These are self-cleaning, fewer odors, so you've got 3 times less laundry, and up at the top it says our sheets use NASA-developed silver technology to keep your body at the perfect temperature all night long. And if you were to keep reading, so basically there's like silver woven into these sheets, and silver has its own like antibacterial properties. And so the unique mechanism here is that you can sweat in your sheets, and the silver in the sheets has this will keep bacteria from growing, and it will keep it from keep your sheets from smelling. And so they're trying to tie that to, you won't have to do laundry as much. So this is all unique mechanism. And then this is brand new to the market. So I think I saw this ad last week and I was like, this is a great example. So this is a new electric vehicle company called Slate. And they're coming in with, I think they're probably one of the cheapest cars or specifically trucks. So if you are in the electric vehicle market, you know that the vast majority of your options are cars. But if you want a truck, well, you've got the Cybertruck, you've got Rivian. I think there's one other competitor, but they're super, super expensive. So they're not available to everybody. But Slate comes in, and the name comes from the idea that it's a blank slate. So it's like no frills. Well, I'll play the ad for you, and you can see it, and then we can talk about it. But it's no frills, very entry level. But then it's modular, so you can add things to it. And so I want to play this ad for you, because this I would put this in the category of mechanism, because you can get the electric vehicle as a truck that you've been wanting, and then you can make it custom to kind of fit your lifestyle and how you want to present yourself to others. So let's take a look at this.
This is a Slate. This slate seats 2 and can carry sheets of plywood. This slate seats 5 and can fit tons in the frunk. It's actually the same slate. This is narrated by me, Jeff. I work at Slate and just happen to have a great voice.
He really does.
That's Chris, our CEO. Chris thinks new cars are too expensive and too complicated.
A Slate cost in the mid-20s. Brand new.
One sec, Chris. Actually, under 20 after current incentives. Go ahead, Chris.
We took out everything that wasn't a car.
That means no fancy screen, colored lighting, cooled seats, self-driving, self-parking, automatic cup holders. Yes, that's a thing.
But you can add accessories like
little screen, big screen, SUV kit, fastback kit, open air kit, one speaker, a bunch of speakers, big bumper, spare tire holder, slatelets, fun grills, even funner lights. Colors, any color. Really, wrap it in any color. And Slate Access Points means you can add an accessory now, later, or even make one yourself.
it's like a potato head. Wait, maybe there's a better analogy.
Actually, there is. Slate is the chameleon of trucks and SUVs. Seriously, just add the SUV kit.
There are 3.
A Slate is not like other cars, or trucks, or SUVs. And Slate is not like other car companies. Slate, we built it, you make it.
So I saw this and thought it was a really neat way that they were separating themselves by, they're introducing like a new way, a new experience for the driver. I don't know if you could tell, but there are like these little rails inside and outside the car, and you can make it yours. You can buy different, they call them slatelets. So you can sort of customize it, make it your own, make it fun, make it professional, whatever you want. And so I think this customizable aspect of it, coupled with the fact that it's, the entry level is under $20,000, which, if you're shopping for an electric vehicle, you're really not going to find that, unless you're, looking at like those, tiny smart cars or something like that. But obviously if you're wanting a truck, you don't want one of those. So, this had the feeling of, how the product solves how it solves more of the problem through this unique mechanism of being able, to do customizations. You can turns from a truck to an SUV. And, so I thought that was a really powerful, way that they were setting themselves apart and coming into the market. So then when we get to stage 4, what's happening in the competitive landscape is that now your competitors are copying your mechanism. So you had this cool way that your product works, and now other people are coming in and say, well, we do the same thing. And basically it's just a game in this stage of embellishing more and more. So you have to make your mechanism solve even more of the problem. And Gene says, at some point, like, this is a race to the bottom, right? Because you're going to run out of things that you can exclaim about your product and your mechanism. And that's when we get to stage 5. But I did have a couple ads here that I think are good examples of stage 4, marketing sophistication. So this first one, this is for a specific type of toothpaste. And I think that it's interesting. They're leading with this, Brian, you were talking about premise. So, they're stating this premise here that you probably don't hear a lot, that cavities are a curable condition. So most of us are sort of trained to think that, well, if you get a cavity, you have to go get it drilled out. Nobody's really talking that much about, that you can actually self-heal your mouth and treat your own cavities. And so that sounded like a really novel claim when this came up in my feed. And this is under a minute ad. Let me see if I make this big. But yeah, let's do it like that. All right, so this is the ad for this product.
People should not get cavities. That is a disease. That is not normal. And people that continue to get cavities, that disease is not being treated. The symptoms of the disease are being treated. You're getting fillings, you're getting crowns, you're losing teeth. That is something that can be prevented. Same with gum disease. And so I'm very passionate about a holistic approach to dentistry. Just as you think, cavities can heal naturally using natural remedies. This is often due to an imbalance in the oral bacterial environment. What we need to do is supplement with enough probiotics. They can reduce inflammation and naturally help rebuild your enamel. It's the perfect solution for oral bacteria and yellowing teeth. The SP6 probiotic toothpaste will be the best choice for you.
So you can see there's mechanism a little bit in that, the probiotic toothpaste. And this guy who, I don't know him, he sounds like an expert, but he's talking about holistic dentistry, cavities, gum disease. It's curable. He says it's the cavities are a disease. That was an interesting way to frame it, because I'd never heard that. The put cavities in the category of disease, and disease is something that you treat. So there's a lot going on in that ad, both reframing the problem to get you to see the problem differently, and then the probiotic angle brings in some unique mechanism. If I was doing this, I probably would play that up. I'd probably talk more about how it works. So I don't think this is a great example of these guys have their unique mechanism language dialed in, but I would put this in the category of a stage 4 attempt at messaging, but because toothpaste has been around for a long time, and this is I think kind of a novel way to both reframe the problem and introduce a solution that you don't have to do anything extra, right? So you just brush your teeth normal, but just use our toothpaste. And it will both prevent cavities and gum disease and treat both of those conditions if you have them. And then this is an ad I just saw. I was like, oh my gosh, this is total. You talk about embellishment and taking it to the limit. This is the world's first. And this is in the handbag market. So even though they say the world's first, I didn't put this in stage 1 because. It's a handbag. People have been buying purses forever. But this is like a handbag made out of T-Rex DNA. And so I'm not saying this is a great ad, but I definitely see it as this is the beginnings of a type of embellishment that I think you would see in stage 4. I think you could probably say that handbags are probably stage 5, which is more like the unaware state of. If you go back to the states of awareness, there's a lot of similarities between stage 5 market sophistication and the unaware, as we're about to see. But in terms of thinking of making bigger, bolder, larger claims, this one caught my attention. World's first dinosaur leather handbags made from T-Rex DNA. And I don't know if they look like that or if this is just some kind of artist rendering. It probably is just this handbag in the middle, and this visual is to show that it comes from a T-Rex. But eventually people are just going to stop believing your claims, and we've all had that experience. We again, go back to Tina, what just shared, like when you get that cold DM from somebody and it's it says something we've all heard before, it's not believable, you're just like, why are you taking up space in my day? Try harder, that kind of thing. So that's what stage 5 feels like, is your market just doesn't believe your advertising. They don't believe your claims. They don't really want to be aware of your product because they've made up their mind that if it's in this category, I'm not interested in that. And so, yeah, he says that this stage is similar to the problems of the 5th state of awareness, and the strategy to solve the problem is the same. So in stage 5, you are shifting from the promise and the mechanism, and you're working on identification. So if you think back to that coffee video that I showed you, those examples of bringing your market together through identification, and not desire to bring your prospect into your ad. And I always, there are plenty of examples to show, but the classic one that always comes up for me, if you guys remember Apple's campaign back in the early 2000s, where you had these two guys, hi, I'm a Mac, I'm a PC, and you've got the PC over here, he's called a virus, he's always sick or he's banged up, like he's in a wheelchair here, and then you've got this really cool Mac guy over here, dressed in t-shirt and jeans, and it's sort of like, who do you want to be seen as? You probably don't want to be seen as this nerdy PC guy. But yeah, identification in your ad, you're showing them a version of themselves that they want to be, and your images support that when you are choosing images for to show that identification to the market. And you can think Lee, I think, asked about villains like in her custom jewelry business. So who do you stand? What do you stand for that your market can get behind? What do you stand against that your market can get behind? This could also be, if there's a who do you stand against in some markets? So this is where you see people talking about, big pharma, or maybe Lee talks about the big jewelry retailers and their markups, and kind of paint them as sort of the enemy of the unique custom jewelry space. And but that's identification, and he says that this is your reviving a dead product, and it's dead because the market's just not interested in hearing about it anymore. So you have to then connect your product to this version of themselves that they want to be. And so just like the states of awareness, I have this sheet that I'll give you. And it's also in the slide deck, obviously, but just kind of breaks it down on, what's the stage, what do we know about this stage, and then what does your headline need to do if you find yourself in one of these stages. And I've got a short clip, and this is about it's about 15, maybe 20 minutes. But Paris Lampropoulos, when we did the Breakthrough Advertising Study Group, and Teresa Pantanella, who's on the call, she put this together. I mentioned it before. And on one of those calls, and it was only available to Titans Accelerator members, on one of those calls, Paris Lampropoulos, who, A-list, he and Brian are very, very close friends. They worked together many years, and at Boardroom, and we've talked about Paris before on some of the calls, but what he's going to do in this presentation is walk us through an industry that went through all 5 stages of market sophistication in a relatively short period of time, which as he'll point out is kind of a rare thing to be able to see. And it's in I believe it's in the health. Yeah, it's in the health space. I don't remember which specific sub niche, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this so we can get into it and make sure we have plenty of time at the end for questions, and then also have a prompt for you guys for the exercise as you start thinking about how to tailor your message based on the and help you discover what stage you're in, what stage of marketing sophistication you're in. So let me grab this guy. Let's go full screen. There we go.
Theoretically, but I'm going to show you actual examples. And these case studies are 2 markets that went through all 5 stages of sophistication. They went from a brand new industry where you could just make a generic claim to an oversaturated dead market, and they did it within just a few years. This is something that rarely happens. Usually it could take decades for this kind of thing. Most of the stock markets we write for are markets that have existed before we came along and will continue to exist after we're gone. But these 2 particular industries, these particular market niches, went through all 5 of the stages of sophistication in a short period of time. And ergo, I am able to show you examples. So case study number 1, health newsletters. Back in the 1990s, Phillips Publishing published a newsletter called Health and Healing with Dr. Julian Whitaker, and Clayton Makepeace was hired to write the launch for it. And the first package he wrote, which I don't have a slide of, was, if you have just, I forget what it was, 15 minutes a day, I'll show you how to, and you had a list of benefits, right? Very simple benefit statement. right? Then the next version of his control was this: forbidden cures. This is the famous one that everybody's heard of. Forbidden cures, right? Remarkable cures censored by knife-happy surgeons and greedy drug companies. You don't have to give me any proof. You don't have to say, like, I'm going to cure cancer overnight. All you're doing is saying forbidden cures. You're the first one to ever say it. And people bought in droves. Every freaking mailing list they mailed this to worked. They were able to get like 500,000 subscribers, which had never been done before in a newsletter. Okay? Another example, exposed 99 medical secrets doctors won't tell you about. Okay? So now we're moving a little more nuanced to do just forbidden cures. And that brings us into stage 2 sophistication. What's stage 2? Type in the box. What happens at stage 2, people? What are they typing, Teresa?
Who's got it? Come on. I know you're all paying attention.
I hope they're paying attention.
Embellish claim.
Embellish the claim. You are correct. Who said that? Who said that?
Colin Duffy.
Good for you, Colin. So here's an example of embellishing the claim. This is Dr. David Williams. And if you look at this, it's future cures, which is the same crap as forbidden cures, except if you look down here, can you guys see where my cursor is?
Yes.
As you read this, brilliant medical researcher curing, yes, curing high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, osteoporosis, right? So he's telling you that you're curing stuff. He's not just, so that's a bigger claim. Here's another example. This is one written by yours truly. Not to be outdone, I said, say goodbye to illness, right? It's about as big a claim as you can make. But what you'll also see is I'm starting to segue into some sort of mechanism. See, I have these safe cures for these things, but then underneath I say sickness is not natural, old age is not natural, drugs are not natural. So we're starting to move a little bit into stage 3 territory, right? Stage 3 is where you introduce a mechanism. So here's another one I wrote. Here's the mechanism here. Why most 20th century diseases will soon become extinct, right? Mm-hmm. This was at the turn of the century. This was winter 1998. This bad boy came out, and everybody was thinking about how we're going to turn into the new century. So I said, why most 20th century diseases will soon be extinct. The why implying that there's a reason behind it and a proof. Then I have another proof element here. Powerful new cures from the Maverick Doctor with a 79% success rate. Okay? So now we're in stage 3 where we've got mechanisms in the headline. Here's another one I did. This one I did for Rodale Press. This thing mailed 40 million pieces. For those of you youngsters in the audience who weren't math majors, that's a lot of fucking pieces. So Herbs for Health magazine, which they were in partnership with Herbs for Health on this particular, and then I have the little doohickey here, the little post that says special complimentary issue exclusively for readers of Prevention. That's a time-tested technique, by the way. Anytime you can personalize it to the extent of, this offer is just for New York readers of the New York Times. You've probably seen this, right? You get the New York Times and they have a little thing in there with an offer, little insert. Anyway, herbs that work better than drugs, right? There's the mechanism. They're scientifically proven and doctor tested. Okay, so we've got proof embedded right in the claim, right? Here's another example I wrote. What to do if cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, or obesity run in your family. So I'm not making a bigger claim. I'm not saying I'm going to cure cancer, heart disease, also. I'm saying what to do if they run in your family. And then underneath, how the latest scientific breakthroughs, there's a proof element, let you overcome bad genes and live a longer, healthier life, right? Then here's one Brian will recognize, how doctors stay well while treating sick people all day. Okay, it's like a new twist here. It's a mechanism. It's like, it cuts through the sameness and the clutter of everybody saying, I'm going to cure this, I'm going to cure that, right? There's a little twist to it. How doctors stay well while treating sick people all day. And the how implies that there's a reason behind it. Again, reason why explanation is usually not always, but usually the go-to mechanism I use in my headlines. And then underneath the subhead with another proof element, immune boosting secret you can use. So that's stage 3 sophistication.
Yeah, I don't want to. I can't give you a number that this mailed, but when it became the control, the mailing that we tested it was one of the first it was obviously it's a Magalog, and it was a faux issue. So it was one of our early faux issues, almost looks like an issue of the publication, and it lifted response by over 100%. And we never got triple-digit lifts like that before. And it got to Paris's head because then he did a bunch more that didn't quite do that, but he did pretty well after that. But yeah, it was a miracle package that got us off the schneid with Bottom Line Health. So,
Gene Schwartz, baby, Gene Schwartz.
And Paris, we've got a question from Daryl King.
Let's hear it. Carole King, is that one of my heroes? Carole King, the songwriter, singer.
Oh, Daryl.
Oh, Daryl King.
Her cousin.
Is it a male or a female Daryl?
Daryl will be one of your heroes after he asks his question, though.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
He wants to know the extinction portion, is that the new mechanism? And I believe that was an example number 1 here for this.
Yeah, the extinction and the new millennium, right? The 20th century. Right. The new century and the new a century being 100 years, a millennium being 1,000 years. Yeah. So that was because it was what's on people's mind, right?
That 20th, making it relevant.
Yeah, making it relevant to what was going on in that time and place. You know, there's this thing that copywriters do where they have a headline swipe file and they you just substitute words. So there was
I've heard of that.
Yeah, there's they laughed when I
played the
piano, and then people say they laughed when I started my own business, right? And Gene Schwartz despised that because everything's at a unique place and time. And you can't just indiscriminately copy things without thinking about the reason behind them, right? You have to know where are you at awareness-wise, sophistication-wise, what's going on in the news, what's going on in the person's life. Nothing occurs in a vacuum. It all occurs in the context, of what else is going on in people's lives. And so that's why this breakthrough advertising stuff is so important. Thank you for the question, Daryl. I hope I answered it. If not, shoot another comment.
Hey, Paris, I remember
that was great. Thanks.
I remember Bill Bonner, who was the owner of Agora, the founder of Agora. Yep. He had thought that his staff was bugging him to get into books like Boardroom. Not that Agora wanted to be Boardroom, but we were all competing with each other. We were all friendly competitors. And we were selling books, especially this one book, The Book of Secrets, where we sold probably 3 million copies. We mailed 26 million pieces for that one book. And so the people in his office, when they were brainstorming, they go, let's just copy everything they do and just, do it. And Bill, to his credit, said, okay. And he just wanted to teach them a lesson, basically.
Right. He was a very hands-off manager.
Yeah, but he said, go ahead, go do it. Now, so they developed a package that looked almost exactly like ours. They had like a headline that was similar. They even used the same colors and fonts. They had the book, and it was like a total bomb. But when I saw it, I called Bill and I said, why do you do this? I mean, you're ripping me off. I mean, it's not even, you're not even pretending to rip me off. You're ripping me off. He says, I had to do it because my staff thought that they could just imitate and it would just, blow the doors off, since our lists are similar, since our, when we merge purge lists with Agora, we get like 40% duplication. So he figured it was the same list even, and they could not duplicate it, just like I couldn't duplicate an investment newsletter from, Porter Stansberry. Right. So it's the same principle of there's the gestalt of everything involved in your marketing, your lists, your offers, the staff, the weather, and then current events and all of that you just don't want. And that's why Gene despised straight ripoffs.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
He talks about that in the book too.
He does.
Chapter 5. These are 38 great headlines, but don't use them.
Right. Okay. So that's stage 3 sophistication. What comes after 3, kids? 4. And what happens at stage 4? What happens there? Somebody?
Come on. I know you guys know this. Elaborate on what, Daryl? Okay, there we go. The mechanism.
That's right. So you're not trumping the claim anymore. You're trumping the mechanism. Here's an example from the great David Deutsch. Beat any disease by taking advantage of its hidden weakness. And we have the brilliant graphics by Rob Davis here of the chain with the weakest link being broken, right? It kind of telegraphs what the whole thing is about. And then he has the herbal smart, it has examples of how you can beat any disease by taking advantage of its hidden weakness. He has the herbal smart bomb that tricks cancer cells into destroying, singular, that tricks cancer into destroying itself. And then the next one, reverse stroke damage, even years after. This one I love. The worse your arthritis is, the better this amazing new discovery works. More inside. And this thing came by David Deutsch, ladies and gentlemen.
That last one gets right into their head, I think, because I'm sure there's someone suffering from arthritis who read that and thought to themselves, oh, not me, my arthritis is too bad.
Everybody thinks that. One thing I learned from Dan Kennedy is that it's not enough to make them believe that your thing works. You have to make them believe that it works for them. Everybody has their excuses, right? Oh, your weight loss may work for other people, but it won't work me because I'm big boned. I have a fat gene. Your money making plan may work in those for those yokels in the Midwest, but I'm a New Yorker. People are too sophisticated here. They would never fall for this. Or, oh, your thing might work in New York because that's a big city. I'm in a small town. It would never work for me, right? So you have to remember that everybody thinks they're different and special. And so that's an objection you have to overcome every time you sit at the typewriter. No matter what you're selling, you have to overcome the objection that I'm different and I'm special, and my arthritis is worse than theirs. My weight problem is worse than theirs. My money problems are worse than theirs, right?
Right.
So that's one way to do it. You take somebody who really horrible, especially if you're telling a story. Find the most dramatic story, the one where the guy was just totally screwed, and then show how that person overcame it. And then they're like, oh, if it worked for them, maybe it'll work for me too. And do that with your testimonials. Have testimonials that mirror the hard-boiled prospects, right? Have a testimonial from somebody who thought they wouldn't lose weight because they were big-boned, right?
Right.
So anyway,
the person almost died.
Just to really, really, paint a really bleak picture and then show how that person overcame that using your product. So here's another example of stage 4, how to undo years of damage done by stress. This amazing breakthrough repairs your whole body, cell by cell. That's another one I wrote. So that's stage 4. Okay, it's pop quiz time, boys and girls. I'm going to show you 2 covers and you're going to tell me which one won. Package A was the control. Package B went up against it. Which package won? Let's read them. Package A, proven he's healing the world's most incurable conditions in as little as 2 minutes. See for yourself, blah, 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 right? Versus the test package, doctor's bag of natural remedies, simple, effective treatments you can use right now to tap illness and feel better. So type in which one won. Type in your votes. Was it A or B?
We've got a bunch of A's.
Any B's?
It was Stengler, so I was going to say B's. Neither one.
Nah.
We have the second more believable. We've got a lot.
How many A's, how many B's, roughly?
Oh, you're going to make me count them, huh?
What, are you seeing more A's or B's?
I'm seeing 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
This is a sophisticated market, too.
Yeah.
When it was mailed, right? Because Stengler, we came late to the game in this, for sure.
Yes. So Brian tipped off the answer. The answer is package A.
I was going to say there's more A's than B's.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because it's clearly A. If Brian would have called me and said, I would have said, don't even bother mailing package B. It's going to lose.
Actually, when I did call you to do a package for Stengler, you said no, thank you, because you said there wasn't enough good stuff, and that's a great story that I put in my book, which was what's on the get the cutting room floor.
But you could have just not even had to hire me and saved money on this mailing. I would have just package B's going to lose. Don't even fucking bother.
I should have left Boardroom 15 like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Right? So package B is a stage 1 message. You're just making an unadorned claim. We know from our control, this is our control, that the market's already past that. This thing has a mechanism in it and a bigger claim. Why on earth would this possibly work? So the answer is it wouldn't, and it didn't. So package A was the winner. Kudos to all of you who got it correct. Those of you who did not get it correct, do you understand why now? Is there anybody who's not clear why? If you are, type in now.
Go ahead and open up your mic or raise your hand.
Okay, I'm going to take that as everyone gets why that one won. All right, so now we go to
good instruction
5, which hopefully you're writing for markets that never get to stage 5 because stage 5 is a bitch. Stage 5 is when you're going to revive a dead product. So we're talking about health newsletters in particular, and I'm going to talk about one in specific, which was Dr. Julian Whitaker. I got hired to write a promotion for it, and this should have tipped me off when they said, look, we found that you don't want to put Julian on the cover because it suppresses response. Right? It's a little hint that maybe everything's not going so well. I said, wow, if that's the case, this is the least of your problems. And so I did a bunch of research and I looked through all the back issues. And there was this one issue on how you could self-test yourself to see what your biological age was. And they had all these cool tests, like see how long you could stand on 1 foot for, how many seconds. And another one was grab a ruler, like you grab it, I don't have a ruler handy, but you grab it like this, and then you go like that, and you count how many inches went by, and that tells you how quick your reaction time is. So you're testing reaction time, you're testing balance, you're testing all these things. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. It's an involvement device, because what have we been taught? We've been taught that involvement devices lift response, right? And so I did this whole lead, and I was in love with it, and the client was in love with it. And usually when you and the client are both in love with it, it's the kiss of death. It means it's not a good thing. And sure enough, the thing bombed. It's like, why did it bomb? And I was talking to Gary Benzavenga, and he said, well, involvement.
You're a name dropper, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I'm a name dropper. So I asked him, why do you think this thing failed? And he said, involvement devices are a double-edged sword. They can help you or they can hurt you. See, your involvement device was a no-win situation because either they're going to do well on the test, in which case they're going to say, I don't need your stinking product, or they're going to do poorly on the test, in which case you just made them feel bad about themselves. Not good. He says, no, the involvement devices you want to use are the ones where if they score well on the test, that's when they want your product. So he gave me an example. There used to be these signs on the subways in New York. Gary's from New York. I'm from New York. And Gary used to work at Ogilvy and Mather, and his copy chief there at Ogilvy wrote this ad. It was like the little signs in the subway cars, and it was like, if you can read this, IF, the letter U, CN, RD, THS, if you can read this, then you can have a rewarding career as a transcriptionist or whatever. It's for one of those schools to teach you a trade, right? And he said that thing kicked butt because in that one, if you do well on the test, that's when you should buy the product, right? And then that reminded me of another great example, which was in the book $1 Million Mailings. There was a piece that Joan Throckmorton wrote, And that copy, the headline was, "Do you have what it takes to be a millionaire?" And you take the quiz. Ooh, let me see. Do I have what it takes to be a millionaire? Look at that. I do. That means I can qualify to buy the Hume Group's course on how to make millions of dollars, right? And the thing kicked ass, sold like crazy. And you see that today with quiz funnels. If you're doing a quiz funnel online, keep in mind what I just said. Because, otherwise you'll shoot yourself in the foot. So I shot myself in the foot because I didn't understand that thing about involvement devices that I understand now after talking to Gary. But the other reason I shot myself in the foot is that I was like ignoring the fact that it's a stage 5 sophistication. And if it's a stage 5 sophistication, it almost doesn't matter what claim you make. They're not going to believe it. You're dead in the water. You need to do something else. So after I bombed, Phillips Publishing had the wisdom to hire Arthur Johnson, and Arthur revived the product by doing stage 5 headlines. Here's one. Is alternative medicine selling out? Right? Not promising a benefit per se, but calling out to a sentiment that's in the audience, right? Here's another one. Is there anyone left we can trust? Here's another one. Is our health press getting dangerously dumb? Right? So here's a product that was dead, gasping on its final breaths, and Arthur put it on life support with these headlines, stage 5 headlines, right?
Right.
Here's another stage 5 headline, different product, same copywriter. Had enough? Enough turkey burgers and sprouts, enough forcing gallons of water down your throat, enough exercising until you can barely breathe. Before you give up everything just because everyone, quote unquote, says it's healthy, see inside for the real health facts and enjoy a healthy life, right? This thing mailed, I think, 28 million pieces, if I remember correctly. Kicked butt. So that's stage 5, right? So let me give you a little summary of the way to look at stages of sophistication. In the early stages, the headline trumpets the benefit of the product. So the example is, here's the actual wording of the launch package that Clayton Makepeace wrote for Health and Healing. Give me 90 days and I'll help you disease-proof your body and add many years to your life, right? You're not hiding that you're kind of selling something and you're giving them a benefit that they never heard before, and they're just going to buy because it's a new benefit. It's something they want, and it's a blatant ad, right? Now, in the later stages, you're not trumpeting the benefit of the product. You're promising or providing a benefit for reading the ad, right? So example would be the one we just did, is alternative medicine selling out. And this is the advertorial approach we usually take today. And most of us who've learned from Gary Benzavenga, we never make it look like advertising. We make it look like information that they want to know, right?
Right.
So is everybody clear on that? Any questions before we move on?
All right, I'll go ahead and stop it there. You can see it keeps going for a little bit longer, but that's the main meat of what I wanted to show you. So I want to.
There were a lot of good comments in the chat, and I think we addressed a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Was everybody satisfied with the people who had questions, or people made observations that were really good? One of the things that I realized first time today, I've seen this video 8 times on this boot camp. I realized that there was something meta in one of the pieces that I commented on, which was the faux issue to bottom line health, which was that it was the copy. Sure, it was, we had to make a claim that never was made before, but then the format and the design was part of the unique mechanism. Not really, but it was sort of like a mechanism that was like beneath the surface. So sometimes you don't know what worked. I'm sure it was a headline. I mean, how doctors stay well by being around sick people all day was such a brilliant headline that's been ripped off so many times since then. But the format also I mean, to get 100% lift on a newsletter that's been around for a while in a crowd in a market that was getting more crowded, that just doesn't happen too often, ever, really. And so I realized that, and we're not talking about design, and although I did talk about the example that when Agora ripped us off and how they ripped off the exact design and they got terrible results to a list that was similar. Design isn't the only thing, right? But design with copy, and we talk about this in Accelerator. We've had designers come on. I believe, well, I had Rob Davis, who Paris talked about. Rob Davis was the best designer for direct mail in the 80s and 90s, and he's still out there doing stuff. And he spoke, and people were blown away because I had one of his writers, Eric Betwell, was at that event, and the two of them were talking about how they work together. And and I think when Gene did his packages for Instant Improvement, his design was so understated. But the thing that Gene did with his design was that he used big, bold typeface, which we used at Boardroom as well. But he was a real estate investor. And what I mean by that, I don't mean real estate in the traditional sense, real estate in quotes. The real estate of the envelope on both sides was precious to him. And he sometimes had mailing pieces where the front and the back of the envelope were covered in fascinations and bullet points. Doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes no copy on the envelope works too. I mean, understated design is design, right? And overstated design is the design. But I think I just wanted to bring up the point that design, Marty Edelston was a student of fonts, like the actual fonts that were developed, and we developed a font. Marty said he invented a font. He called it Boardroom Bold. And what it was, he took it was a basic font and he changed a few letters from another font, and that was what he called Boardroom Bold. And we became famous for it. Like everybody knew a Boardroom package when it landed in their mailbox. And it was advertising, but it was, especially to our house file, people who knew us, they knew it was going to be exciting copy. It was going to be something to read. So I'm not going to go too much further, but the idea of design, fonts, formats that relate to the product, bonuses that relate to the product. Everything is like, I don't know. I talked about the gestalt of the promotion. Gestalt is like, I think it's a Yiddish word that I looked it up. I used it in a blog, so I had to look it up and then send people to Wikipedia. But it's like the combination of random things that becomes like the winner, becomes like a whole. And you don't know what they're going to be. But you need good copy, you need good lists, you need a good offer, you need good copy, and you need good design. So I thought it was a good lesson, and I just realized that with the faux issue of how important that was.
Yeah, I know David Foley, who's another Titans Accelerator. He and David Bear have direct mail insiders that they run on one of their a newsletter, and then they meet weekly too if you're in that group. But he always talks about how never, if you're mailing, never waste the backside of a page. And he's like, I hate getting mail and there's a letter on the front and nothing on the back. He's like, put testimonials, do something.
Real estate pays out in promotion.
Let's talk about the assignment real quick, and then we can wrap or answer questions. So this is all about, and I do have a prompt I'll go through with you. So for this one, don't have a specific worksheet. This is more about, taking all the work that you've done, looking at the research, knowing what you know about your market, and just trying to identify where your market is in the stages of market sophistication. So it's kind of a thinking exercise, but this prompt is going to help quite a bit. And I've got here set a timer for 33 minutes, which is a nod to our final call. which is more about how Gene structured his work time and work day. And here we want to take everything that we've been working on, desire, channeling desire, states of awareness, market sophistication, and now we're going to try and put together different types of headlines, based on what we've learned. And then that's why the office hour call is next, because we ideally, I mean, you can come talk about whatever you want in your business, but ideally, you would be using and bringing your work that you've done in the boot camp. And this is the part here in the assignment where we're actually starting to write the headlines, write the leads, the subheads, what follows from the headline, that type of thing. How are you going to capture attention? And so then this prompt, actually we'll make this big so it's easier to see. So this is all about figuring out the stage of market sophistication. Very similar notice here. I'll call this out. I do have attached the research document. So if you're using this in an existing chat, that research document's already there. If you're starting on a new chat, you would want to attach that voice of the customer research document from the first call, and to give it that information. And then you're just asking, based on this info and what I tell you about my product and service and niche, you want it to tell you what it thinks that your stage of sophistication is, explain why, and then give us some headline ideas, based on this information. And so I'll show you, I'll show you how this is worked out in the dog ACL injury. So I've got my research document here. Here's the prompt, and then it's already got. So if I was doing this for the first time, it would ask me this information, product name, niche, what it does, etc. But because it already has it, so it just fills it in already. So that's handy. And then it's looking at competitor promises, and this is coming directly from the research document, primarily looking at surgery alternatives and knee braces, because that's typically what people do for their dogs as part of the protocol, is getting a knee brace. So speeding up healing without surgery. This is Tailwind Pets. You get Pet Ortho. This is the big player for knee braces. You have custom bracing to get back to active lifestyle, regain the walking gait through compression therapy. And then most promote devices, not protocols, and use clinical credibility, customization, and brace design as their differentiators. And then it breaks down based on what I provided it and what it knows about the product I have in mind. It's saying, this is a mature market, so Heal at Home is not stage 1. Braces, they're already making strong promises. It's not stage 2. It could be stage 3, so devices dominate. They all promise healing without surgery. So the market's saturated with similar mechanisms. People question whether braces work. Many Reddit threads and voice of customer quotes show skepticism about the braces. And then it says for stage 5, there's skepticism, but not full cynicism. So they still want to believe in alternatives. So that's important. So then what it finally says, your strategy, highlight a unique mechanism or system. You're not just another brace, you're a protocol. Contrast between braces and protocols. Point out how braces alone are incomplete. Use proof and emotional language. Highlight before and after stories. Frame it as real dog parents who healed their dog. Then it gives me sample headlines. So it's telling me that I'm in stage 4 for this product. So this is where it's plotting me. Braces help your dog stand. This protocol helps them heal. So differentiation there, contrast mechanism. The 4-week home protocol that helps thousands avoid $12,000 ACL surgery. Not a brace, a complete recovery plan without surgery or guilt. So it's giving me ideas, and then from here, it's saying, hey, do you want to name the protocol, or building a mechanism-driven lead for sales letter? So what I would do at this point is I'd probably say yes to this, and just keep having the conversation, and coming up with new headlines to test. And if I had an email list for this of leads but not buyers, I would probably test some of these headlines as subject lines just to kind of see what, the tiny sliver of market that I have, how they respond to it. But that would probably be my next step in doing that. But yeah, so that is today's lesson presentation. We're 4 minutes over. I'm gonna stop sharing, then I'll share these slides with you here just a second. So I do see there are some hands
Yeah,
raised.
let me just add a couple of quick things, and then we'll go to the hands that are up, and we'll
Please.
stay on for as long as people have questions. First of all,
I do have a hard stop at the top of the next hour, so I may have to make you host, Brian.
all right, that's fine.
Yep.
If we might be able to get it done in 25 minutes, but the first of all, the Wednesday's call, we call it office hours, but basically what we're going to do is anything that you've done in the boot camp to date, any of the homework assignments, any of the epiphanies you've had, any of the issues you had. So there's sort of like there'll be a series of pop-up hot seats, basically. So, we're not going to be able to go on too long with any one person, maybe 10 minutes max. But this is your opportunity now to personalize the boot camp to your business, and don't feel like you're not going to be helping everybody in the group. I wrote my blog post last week about hot seats because hot seats are for everybody, even if they're about your specific business. So keep in mind that whatever you bring to the screen on Wednesday is good for everybody. But bring some stuff that we can kind of, and if some of the questions today get too involved, we can save them to Wednesday as well. But basically, that's what's going on there. I think you might have noticed there was an open loop on the Paris video, because didn't we say there were 2 markets he was going to do 5 stages of sophistication?
Yeah.
Chris? Yeah. So we only gave you 1. And that was intentional because that video is like an hour and 40 minutes total, I think.
Yeah, about an hour and a half. Yep.
Hour and a half. So basically, one of the additional bonuses that you'll get should you join Titan's Accelerator, here's my sneak peek at our sales pitch. But if you join Titan's Accelerator, besides some unique discounts for being in the boot camp, you'll get unique bonuses, and one of them will be that video from Paris. And I'm still standing by that. I will send everybody a Gene Schwartz is my homeboy mug as well. I found the link, and I will send that to anybody. Not for Accelerator members. Sorry, it's only for the new boot campers who become Accelerator members. But hey, Accelerator members can buy one. I mean, come on, you've gotten a lot. You've gotten your money's worth. So anyway, that is just a couple little things there. But Wednesday is a powerful call. If you come to it, come to it armed with your, what you've gotten out of the boot camp and what you want to make sure your takeaways and what we want to have deliverables for you, but the deliverables are based on what you need and what you're asking. So come asking, and we will try to solve your issues. And it won't just be me and Chris. The entire room is going to help solve it, because we'll open it up, to the entire room, because there are some badasses on this call. So
Definitely.
that will help you big time. Okay, that's all I got. Let's go to the cans.
All right. Theo, I saw your hand up first.
Yo,
Hey, man.
I'll make this quick because I know we're in a hurry here. One book that has served me well for a long time is Great Leads.
Oh, yeah.
And he mapped the awareness scale to different leads. So most, for the awareness, you use a direct,
we had a grid for that. I think it's it's Michael Masterson, but it's Mark Ford.
Yeah.
But we used, there was a grid of great leads and market sophistication that I used in a presentation I gave at AWAI, because there's a great grid in the book that really maps that out.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So as you guys know, I sell supplements, and in the state of sophistication is fourth stage. So, I've created a new mechanism and then I embellish on it. So I have already written a problem solution lead, where I invented a name for the problem, and the name for the problem is the unique mechanism. Does that sound like I'm kind of on the right track?
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah.
It seemed to, when I wrote it, I was like, okay, this clicks, this works. But that awareness scale that he did in Great Leads is great, because you can, on one end of the spectrum, you have offer leads, then there's promise leads, problem solution leads, which is what I'm going to do, secret leads where it's more indirect, proclamation leads, and then of course story leads for the least aware.
Run through your process through the prompts that Chris just gave you also.
Yeah. I'm doing that too. Yeah, because the AI stuff is new. Yeah. Cool. That's what I wanted to know. So I'm done. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Theo. Nils.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Hey, Brian. Question about with levels of sophistication in the world of business, all those things are well exhausted there's things to help, but there's a very tiny segment of the market that knows about operating systems a la EOS, and even a smaller sliver that knows anything about Pinnacle. So when I think about this, am I looking at that at the macro business transformation level, or am I looking at it as the kind of the mechanism level, because virtually nobody knows about these things?
When you say virtually nobody knows about, you're saying they don't know about what EOS is?
And Pinnacle after that, yes.
Pinnacle, definitely.
EOS is the most popular operating system used in only less than 300,000 companies. So in the grand scheme of the world of business, it's tiny.
Yeah, but everybody knows there are systems out there for managing companies and coaching and all of that. So it's certainly not a level 1 for sure.
Right.
But it's not a level 5 either, I don't think. Where would you put it, Chris?
Well, I mean, I think about, like you're saying B2B, I think 3 or 4 is where I would put it, because I think about maybe where I would, if I was writing something, like trying to come up with this, like I would spend a lot of time, like what makes our system different? So what's the problem with all these other systems you've heard about, is maybe they rely too much on, you to do it, but you need a system that actually runs on its own. And that's why, what's special about the way that we do it is, X, Y, Z. So I go to like mechanism.
The headline you had, Chris, for the dog one, where you said, if you want to do this, what was it? You want to do this, you can walk, but if you want to do this, you can heal.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the quote?
Let me find it.
Your mechanism makes them heal, but if you want to use a brace, they can walk.
Yeah, braces help your dog stand. This protocol helps them heal.
There's something in there for Nils, I think, because that was level sophistication 4, wasn't it?
4, yeah.
Yeah. Some variation like that. It's not about walking. I know it's like, but it's about thinking. It's about thinking about your business. It's about, I'm not saying you just have to, fill in a word here. It's not Mad Libs and it's not fill in the blank, because Gene hates that and Paris hates that. But that doesn't mean that there aren't constructs that you can create that work off that. Take a look at what Chris's assignment was really well. That was really well designed, I think, for what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm excited to run through the prompts too and go deeper. The biggest differentiator is, in the conceptual sense, is the going from a one size fits all to something that's custom.
Exactly.
Like they're night and day in that respect, and for that reason, it was created by the guy who used to run the one size fits all, and then now he said there's a better way.
But then look at the elements of the custom, like what's within the custom that makes it custom and makes it even more custom and more custom and more custom, so that you get to almost like a 1-to-1 to a large group. I call that the horizontal vertical, right? I have that in my book. I talk about, we had a promotion for a type 2 diabetes. It was called the 30-day diabetes cure. Was the name of the, and basically it was basically a diet and nutrition program and exercise program, but it was basically curing your type 2 diabetes without drugs. And it was so successful for us. Why? Because we plugged into the 30-day diabetes cure. Plus, the beauty of it was that was a horizontal vertical. At the time, this is like in the 90s, probably, maybe early 2000s, where there were like 30 million people in the United States at the time that were either pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetes. Now it's much bigger than that.
Yeah.
So it's an epidemic, and people aren't even talking about it as an epidemic.
Yeah.
So having that in addition to knowing that, and that was probably, as far as a sophistication, it wasn't that. I think there it probably was stage 2 or 3 at the time, because people didn't understand that they could get it under control with just with no drugs. You didn't need an MD to cure your type 2 diabetes. So there was an element there that we stumbled on, sort of, but we were definitely marketing into probably stage 2, stage 3, probably stage 3 sophistication. But we came up with an amazing hook, and it was such a huge universe. Like, we could go to a general health audience of 60 plus men and women, and everybody could relate to it because everybody has pre-diabetes. And we basically identified in the promotion all of the symptoms of pre-diabetes. Not that you have type 2, just pre-diabetes. And you read that, that was like Paris with the quiz that you have to pass. Everybody would pass this quiz, basically. What are your symptoms? Boom, boom, boom. You could do that. Doing a quiz for your business people, Nils, would work very well. But make sure that they answer the questions and then need your product.
Well, that I was going to call out that was a huge insight. I've done work with quizzes in the past, and it's usually always the negative side or the score, and it's low. And if you're low score, we can make it better. But that point about it, just you feel bad, and then you don't want to do it. So you got to make them feel good, and that was huge.
Well, the great thing is in the chat, Chris, before he said it, Chris said, "Pay attention." Hopefully, you read that.
That was
from Gary Bencivenga. That was just Gary Bencivenga is America's most prolific living copywriter.
Yeah.
So when he talks, I listen, as everybody else does.
100%. Thank you.
Thanks, Nils. Eddie.
Hey, Chris.
Hey,
Brian. Thanks for another great session today. I wonder if it's not too prying. I wonder if you guys would be willing to talk about your process in developing the ads for this boot camp, for Breakthrough Advertising Boot Camp, and maybe talk about the level of sophistication that you see this market at, and perhaps that's a reflection of the level of sophistication that all copywriting educators are kind of working with. Really be interested to hear your take and how you're kind of navigating that, especially in light of AI and the perception of AI in the space right now.
Did you and you can tell us the truth? Did you think you're a sophisticated copywriter? So did it land with you? It landed enough for you to join, but you knew of us and you were aware. You were certainly product aware, or you were aware of me and Chris and Titans. But did it land? And I'm curious. I'm going to reverse it back to you first, and then there's nothing I won't. I'll be totally transparent, and Chris will too. But where did it land, and where did it didn't for you?
Well, to be honest, I might do this every year with you guys. I think now it's really important, if you're a copywriter, if you're a creative practitioner in any discipline, to hone the fundamentals and get as good as you can, and just keep on learning, keep on educating yourself, and not let anything not become really complacent, I guess, in your level of knowledge and wisdom and experience. So for me, it was like, yeah, I know you guys. I know the type of the products that you put out. Like I said, I have breakthrough advertising here. I was telling you, Brian, I went to Kinko's and got this thing under like a paper guillotine, and they turned it into like a spiral
You
notebook.
see that? He made it a spiral, Chris. We have to price
that's
that.
awesome.
I want to price
went,
that as a spiral.
I went pretty nerdy with it. But you know, so I think it's kind of unfair. Yeah, I'm kind of an unfair reflection of the market.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we're necessarily writing to you.
Probably not.
But the thing is, you are and then Chris will take over because he did a lot of the writing. So I didn't, I write in my blog, in my PS, and that comes from me, from my heart. But Chris is really looking at the market a little bit more than I am when he's writing the promotions. But there's a concept that I just love. It was somebody who was on a hot seat at my Jeff Walker mastermind, and she is did I talk about this? She's a leader of women entrepreneurs. Did I talk about that in the boot camp? I've talked about it at Accelerator. So the concept is it's a boat going through the water, right? And so you have the direct, front of the boat, and you're going straight dead ahead, and who are you taking with you straight dead ahead? Like that's your target market. And she was like she was looking at all the different sub-markets, and she realized if she goes after this one market, that was the one market that she wanted most, everybody else seems to come along for the ride. And if they don't, that's fine, because she's targeted that market. So I think that's our philosophy with the boot camp. We want people who are at least a little dangerous, that they've done some marketing, some copywriting. If they bought the book, there's a different promotion we go out to if you already have the book. Because if you have the book, you're probably not using it. It's sitting on your shelf collecting dust. And so that's an approach to the people who have the book. So we have a bunch of different angles. But the thing is, there's like what do they call it? The waft. It's not the waft. When anybody a boater here? Like the
wake?
The wake, right. So the people who come along, obviously I don't do any boating, but it's the wake of the water, right? And it's amazing the people who come along in the wake, some of those end up being the best students, but we didn't go after them. There's a blog post you should read on my blog page. It's look up, just put in the search, Beautiful Bride. No, not Beautiful Bride. That would be the one for my daughter's wedding. There's one that I talked about it was maybe put in Bride. I'll get the title for you on Wednesday. But it's basically it was about how Brides Magazine actually found out by accident. Brides Magazine, interesting marketing approach, right? People buy Brides Magazine for a year, and after they get married, they get rid of it, right? So, or 2 years or whatever. I mean, not many renewals to Brides Magazine. But they did have a subscription offer, and it worked well. They went out to, went to all these lists of people who got recently engaged and all of that. But they found out through some research that there was an inordinate amount of young, urban, minority girls buying Brides Magazine on the newsstand. Why? Like, why is a 14, 15-year-old inner city youth, girls buying Brides Magazine? Not because they're all pregnant. That's not the statement we're making here. They're not getting married. It's a dream book. It's a dream book. The publisher, I think it was Hachette or one of the big publishers, somebody said, "Oh, we should go after that market." And they said, "No freaking way. That's an accidental market that's in the wake, right? And you just take it, you count your money, and you move on. Because to go after that market would be throwing good money after bad. They were buying it on the newsstand. They never would have subscribed. If you marketed to them on the cover, that would blow away your core audience. Like why they appealing to inner city youth? Like, so you could see like it was a marketing accident, a beautiful accident that they didn't exploit, but they exploited it the best way by not exploiting it. It's an interesting case history, and there are a lot of case histories like that in marketing, and so it's the whole point of who comes along in the wake. So, Chris, you want to just speak to some of the promotions we did, and
Yeah.
how we targeted it? Because I know
Yeah.
you thought a lot about this.
Yeah, and we worked with ad agency that helped us with the targeting, but we were basically going after, kind of middle and bottom of funnel. Um, we have ads running at the top of funnel to build up custom audiences that like basically introduce. So basically, if somebody goes into our middle funnel custom audience, we know that they've watched a video or had some kind of interaction with a top of funnel ad, and they have awareness around copywriting. Most have awareness around breakthrough advertising. So this was a mixture of using some anecdotal evidence from what's worked in the past, like with email, the messages that I knew that really connected. So like the elephant ad, if you saw that was all about, is it even worth learning this stuff with AI? Like if AI can just do it all. That was an email that I wrote, and it was almost verbatim in the ad. I changed it a little bit. And then I used I used an image that AI generated where breakthrough advertising was misspelled. That ticked a lot of people off. I came to find out they kept commenting about it, but it was intentional because it was a little bit of a, inside joke. But that was our top performing ad. And that
Yeah,
was
you
that's
also did one that
Elephant
says,
ad was your top performing ad?
that brought in the most sales. It also brought in the most hate in the comments.
which is actually good.
you sent
That's
me
good
that?
news, right? You turn off the people that you don't want, and you get the people you want. Also, the one that you said, "Would you like to meet Gene Schwartz?" as the subject line,
Yeah.
that probably didn't resonate with everybody, but the ones it did resonate with,
Yeah.
those are the Gene Schwartz groupies, and I know that one did well, not as well as the one you said.
Yeah.
Our second best performing ad was the one that was all about the copy assembly line. And that was one where, so I was trying to like introduce a mechanism into writing copies. So reframing. So I opened with that. In 1991, Gene Schwartz said this about your sales copy. And I took that because when I have an ad for breakthrough advertising says in 1966, Gene Schwartz wrote, this book. And so I took that same framework because it had worked in the other, in another ad campaign. And then we cut to that scene of Gene. And then that message is about introducing the idea of like, hey, if this is true, so this is building on a premise. So I state a premise. The copy isn't written, it's assembled. So if that's true, then really what you need to be focused on is building your copy assembly line. And then I show the boot camp as the solution to learn how to do that. Because Gene's the one who said it, he's the one who teaches it in breakthrough advertising. So those were our top two performing ads in terms of engagement and sales.
When you send out the recap or the video of this, could you include your sequence in there somewhere, or like send out a link to like all the emails that you sent out and the ads that you ran? It's
Sure.
I don't know how much work.
Yeah, I mean the emails. I mean that was obviously a very warm audience, and we basically I created two versions of them. So one for book buyers, and then one for people who didn't own the book. And
then in the one for not the book, that's when Chris decided to put the offer of buy the book and the boot camp at the same time,
and
get a little discount on the book. So if you join the boot camp, of course. So that one we got a lot of, I don't know how many people on this call took that offer, but a lot of people took that offer.
And I think we just started doing that like on the 6th boot camp. So
right.
And that was to address an objection of, hey, I'm not going to come because I don't have the book. And so when we heard that, we're like, oh, well, we can fix that. Like, here's the book, and oh, you don't. And I think actually in one of the emails I say it's actually better if you haven't read the book yet. You know, so this boot camp makes it, but because you're coming in fresh.
I just thought of a new approach. You never, well, you did do this once. You said, it's the guilt thing, I bet it's sitting on your shelf and you haven't even picked it up yet,
Yep.
And
That's
here's
right.
your opportunity. We'll read it with you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. It's sitting there. Are you collecting trophies or are you using them or something like that is what I was saying.
Yeah. I know.
So you're asking Eddie to include like the email sequence? You want that? Or the ads?
Anything that you use to advertise this would be, selfishly, it would be really interesting to me, just because, I'm kind of in the same space. I have a newsletter and I sell, copywriting training. And so I'm trying to figure out where the market is in light of AI. I think that on my list, people are much more averse to it than, at the top of my funnel, which is usually on social media, on LinkedIn. That's where I'm bringing people into the list, so I'm trying to figure out how to speak to those audiences respectively. And
it's funny. This is anecdotal, but I get a ton of LinkedIn requests every day. I think I'm behind now. I have like 400 sitting in my email inbox, and it's just anecdotal, but so many people call themselves copywriters all over the world.
Well,
copywriter from Bangladesh, copywriter from Africa, right?
Right. I think the barrier to entry for being a copywriter is very low because it's like, you got a Word doc and, you can speak the language. So, so I think the industry has always had this kind of this lower barrier to entry that people can come in and they don't need a degree per se or any kind of accreditation or something, and you be a copywriter. And I think a lot of people can be copywriters, and a lot of people maybe don't have it in them. But
there's also the issue of, because it's a low barrier to entry, people aren't even entering, and they're entering. What I mean by that is they call themselves a copywriter. They're not a copywriter. They are they're looking for a magic bullet because they've heard good things about it, and those people have to be in your wake. And also they have no money. Now, again, I always say it's not just about the money. I told the story of Gene Schwartz in the first call on this, that it's not always about the money. But, if you're going to sell things, people have to have money to buy it. And Kevin Rogers talks about this all the time, being in a market of people who are, less flush. It's more difficult selling into that market. And I get it. Now, I intentionally went into Titans Accelerator from Titans Mastermind. Titans Mastermind was $20,000 or $25,000 a year. And I went for a Descension program. I call it a Descension as opposed to Ascension, to develop Titans Accelerator to make it accessible, a price point for everybody. But even at $200 a month, which is the lowest you could pay per month for Titans Accelerator, it's a barrier for a lot of people who are like, 22-year-old copywriter from India who wants to learn the craft. The best way to learn the craft and learn about marketing at the same time, because you got to know about marketing to be a good copywriter, is to join Titans Accelerator. I made the price low enough, and I still can't even attract them. So, I've given some. I have an angel fund for certain people. There was a beautiful woman from Kenya, and I met her through an organization that I did some fundraising with in Kenya. Stu McLaren has Village Impact, and I went and I donated a classroom to a school in Kenya that he was building, and I found this copywriter there, and she had no money. I gave her a scholarship to Titans Accelerator because I knew, and she still can't afford it, so I didn't give her the renewal for free, but she made contacts already. She's building her career. If she ever pays me another dime, doesn't matter. you know. But that's the wake. That's part of the wake. But the wake, you don't have to dismiss them either, right? Even if they can't afford you. I don't give away Titans Accelerator just to anybody. And, you know, I am a softie. I'm a soft touch. But, you know, but I gave you that example because that meant something to me. That if she can, because she was like a student. I mean, she really wanted to learn. And she just had no money. I mean, literally. I mean, you know, she's making, who knows, $30 a month? I mean, whatever it is. It's like, it's crazy. So, you know, $200 a month would be like, you know, just so beyond her. But I think my point is that, you know, you want to have your, you know, your North Star at the people you want to hang out with, the people you want to teach, people you want to be with. I mean, remember I said I'm retired. I'm retired from people I don't want to hang around with. I'm retired from things I don't do well. I'm retired from things I don't want to do. How do you get there? You gotta choose your audience in a way. Copywriting's a tough one. I mean, you know, it's not going to be easy, Eddie, but you know, who said it was going to be easy, you know? I mean, but you
Yeah,
can.
no, I agree with what you're saying though. It's like you don't want to necessarily like preach to the non-believers and
Right.
spend all this space and effort trying to convert somebody that is you know, gung ho on writing their copy with AI exclusively. I mean,
Exclusively, right.
Right. There's a lot of people out there that believe in another way, and so I think that's part of it. But like I
Chris,
said,
you have to go,
really
right?
keen. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Chris, go ahead.
I got to jump.
I'm the host now, right?
Yeah.
I want to get
Yeah.
to Tom also. Okay.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Well, Eddie, we can continue this conversation for sure.
Well, you know, yeah, like I said, I'm just keen to see how you guys are thinking about it because I imagine that there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of parallel there. You know.
Yeah, the thing that I will say though is that whether you're someone, I think because Titans Accelerator and Bootcamp is more about marketing, for me anyway. It's more about marketing than copywriting, although it's a lot about copywriting. And I think if you're going after copywriting first and foremost as your lead, copywriters have to know marketing. I mean, it's one of the 7 things that I look for in any great copywriter. Number 5 is understanding direct response marketing principles, at least at a minimum. Otherwise, you're never going to be a great copywriter. The opposite, you know, you can be a great marketer and not be a great copywriter because it's a craft that you can buy. And you need to understand copy. You need to understand enough to be dangerous. But I don't know how I feel about what I just said, but I think it's mostly true. If you're a copywriter and you don't understand marketing, I don't think you'll ever be a great copywriter. If you're a marketer, you can be a great marketer and never be a great copywriter. But the thing is, if you become a great marketer, I think by osmosis, you're going to become a great copywriter. Because if you're a great marketer, you're going to be focusing on list and offer the whole time. And you're going to learn what your market wants. I mean, I always say, there's a blog post I wrote. It's like, you may be your best known copywriter, your best known copywriter. And one of the examples I use is Will Hamilton. I don't know if you know Will Hamilton, but he's the number one guy on the internet selling tennis instruction. He's got a site called Fuzzy Yellow Balls. And I mean, he's famous on the internet for teaching tennis. He's the guy. And he studied copy early on. He took John Carlton's course. He became really good friends with Ryan Levesque before Ryan Levesque was Ryan Levesque, like back in the mid 2000 teens. Ryan Levesque came to the Titans of Direct Response in 2014, and I tell him this to his face. He was a nobody. He was somebody. He was doing consulting. He was doing stuff, but he didn't have the ask formula. He hadn't invented the quiz funnels. He didn't do, Buckets.io way before that. It's 2014. Everything he's done.
Now Ryan's on a farm living his best life, and
exactly.
I know Ryan very well. He doesn't even want that.
No.
That anymore.
But all of that from like the beginning to this huge business, and now he's simplifying all of that in 11 years.
Yes.
And So Will Hamilton like partnered with him early on. They got together. He was helping Will with some early quiz funnels that Ryan was playing with. Will was an early adopter of that, but Will was also studying copy with John Carlton. Fast forward to today. There's nobody that could write better copy for Will Hamilton's websites, emails, training videos than Will Hamilton. He knows that market better than anybody, and he didn't start as a copywriter. Now, he might have had copy chops. I'm sure he was writing at some point early in his life, in college and stuff. But man, he was a marketer who learned copy, and now he's the best copywriter for his business. So that it can go that way too.
Yeah.
But I do believe that, you can be, and that's a good selling point to copywriters, that you can be the secret weapon for marketers. But you have to understand marketing to do that. And I think that's an angle, that's a unique mechanism that a lot of the copywriting coaches don't teach.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
I kind of instilled it in Kevin a little bit and Rob Marsh to like, don't just teach copy. Now I don't teach copywriting. I get Paris Lampropoulos to teach copywriting for me. What am I, stupid? He's like he's so much better than me at that. So yeah,
Well, I appreciate you, Brian. I appreciate you taking that time. I don't want to take too much of the.
No, okay, good.
Thank you,
Got
sir.
me on a good tangent there, though. Tom,
Hello, Brian.
how are you?
Very well, thank you. Well, I'm just soaking it all up. It's great to hear you talk and to hear you discuss these offers and even how I came to join this. I'm hearing you say things and I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy who joined because of the book and the course deal.
We have at least one person here that we targeted perfectly.
Perfectly, that's right. Yeah. So what was I? I was product aware, but I wasn't quite over the line. And I think the messaging around mastering the fundamentals is what wrapped it up to.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you that I've been using the first 3 days homework as a business plan for a client I've just started working with. I'm basically going to send him my homework. So
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, you did the course. Hey, I was working on this course for your business, and here's what I did. That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, so I'm at the states of awareness point, analyzing their customer.
Okay.
And now, obviously, after today, I have the chance now to talk about the sophistication of the market, and it seems like I think that we're at level 4 with this market because it's a interior design company that sell wood panels, which have some unique qualities like acoustic properties, and it's high ticket in that range, but it's a crowded market.
Okay, so you've got the exercises to figure out what your unique selling proposition is going to end up being.
And this is driving towards some kind of lead magnet where we give a guide or some kind of style guide or installation guide to capture emails on the website, because it's a popular website, and they actually have already about 12,000 subscribers, but they think the list is kind of cold. So some kind of guide or some kind of rejuvenation of interest is what we're trying to do,
Oh, maybe on Wednesday, if you can, get your question concrete, we can pop up hot seat you if you want.
That'd be amazing. And obviously this week, tonight's assignment is to do the first draft. So that is very much, it's lining up well because I'm going to talk to them next Friday with my first draft. So, the stars are aligning, which is
well, we set up the
nice.
Schedule just for you. I have to
thank you. Yeah. I do appreciate
it. All right.
Cool.
Well, good
Thanks
job,
very much.
Tom. Good job. You're a good student. Good student.
See you on Wednesday. Yeah.
See you on Wednesday. And we'll see everybody else on Wednesday. Hopefully everybody got a lot out of today's call. Definitely come Wednesday. Come equipped with your questions, your challenges, your commentary, whatever. And then on Thursday, we'll have the Titans Accelerator call, and we'll have two amazing copywriters there, John Carlton and David Deutsch. So can't miss that. So I think that's it. So I am going to stop the recording and say au revoir. My French is not that good. And I will see you all on Wednesday.
Hi, thank you. This is awesome.